Hey, what's up, Daniel?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. Sound good. I appreciate you coming on here.
Of course. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Just to really just start things off, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Sure. My name is Austen Alexander. I'm 28 years old, about to turn 29. It's crazy. Time flies. I'm originally from Florence, Alabama. Joined the Navy when I was 21, and recently got out in November. I was master at arms, which is naval security. Got to patrol around in a small boat and provide waterborne security for all the assets that pulled into port, and it was a great time.
So, what really attracted you to the military? Was it something that you kind of saw yourself as a kid going in, or was it something that just happened upon being in line with what you ended up doing?
No, not at all. I never saw myself going to the military as a kid. I never considered it until pretty much all the stars aligned. My parents were going through a tough time and left me pretty independent, going from, dependent on them to independent. So I was doing pretty much everything by myself. And I realized that I was just cutting grass and making pizzas. And I was like, I don't want to do this forever. So I had been working out a little bit recreationally, not nothing serious. And then I started to take my fitness to the next level. I said the military is going to challenge me in a way that I've never been challenged before. So I just rolled with it.
Was the military, you said it wasn't kind of in your original plans, but was it something that maybe like family had done, or where did you really kind of get not the idea, but like the encouragement, or was it somebody that come to your school? Like, how did that really play out?
Not really. My grandpa was an MP in the Army, but he was a reservist. It wasn't a huge part of his life. So the rest of the family, nobody was really in the military besides my uncle. He was also in the Coast Guard, and I was I had a good friend named Taylor, and we would work out all the time. We became really good friends over the course of probably 2 or 3 months, and then he told me, he said, "I'm going to the Navy recruiter office." And I was like, "For what?" He said, "I'm going to join the Navy." And I was like, "All right, well, good luck with that." And when he was in Florence, which is, he lived probably 30 minutes away in a place called Sheffield, he drove to the Florence recruiting station. He said, "Hey, I'm over here. Come hang out and we'll go get some food after," or whatever. I said, "All right." So I just rolled up into the recruiting office, sat down, and the chief looked at me and he said, "You here to join the Navy too?" And I was like, "No." He said, "Okay." Didn't say anything else. Didn't say a word. I thought it was kind of odd because usually recruiters are like salesmen. And Chief Thornton, which was the chief in there, when we were walking out, he handed me a pamphlet. He kind of just stopped me. He said, "Hey, just consider this. I think it would be good for you." I was like, "Okay." Took the pamphlet and left, and it was a Navy SEAL pamphlet. And I went home, researched it, looked up what is a Navy SEAL. Like I didn't even know what it was. I was 18, 19, you know. Wasn't really at the time, wasn't really interested in military movies, didn't really know anything about the military hardly. And I looked it up and I said I could see myself being in the Navy and doing something like this. And I went back probably 2 days later and I said, "Sign me up." And that was
Cool.
it.
That's cool. And it is weird because it seems like somebody, they have you right there and you think they would try to talk to you, convince you or something. Do you think that they maybe saw something in you that was like just not there yet? Or why do you think that they didn't try to really target you like that?
I think he didn't want to scare me away. Probably he knew I was in there for Taylor, and he just tried the standoffish approach. Kind of wanted to approach it friendly. Like usually they're aggressive to get you in the office because nobody ever goes in there. But since I was already in there, he probably knew that, hey, I could just slide this guy a pamphlet and pique his interest. So that's probably what he did.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like I said, living in a big city, I'm sure there's places like that all around here, but I've never actively seen one or anything like that. I don't really have too many. I would consider maybe one friend in the military, but like, and he's not even actually from here, but I would think that like growing up here in the city and being here my whole life, I would at least know where like an office would be or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's different, like even compared to like 10 years ago when you were in there, that it's just not as pushed as much like that? Or what do you think?
I think they're shifting a lot of their dollars and efforts towards online. So I think they target certain age groups. They realize that they didn't have to have recruiting stations every 5 or 6 miles. They could just sell somebody on it, have them sign up through a form online or something like that, and have them go drive maybe an hour or 2 hours away, provide transportation for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So kind of getting back to your childhood a little bit, growing up, were you somebody that was pretty athletic, interested in sports and stuff? Like what were you kind of doing as a kid?
Yeah, I was. I played city league soccer, basketball, all kinds of different leagues. I played basketball in high school. Um, there was a time where I was going to the YMCA between when I was 17 to 18. I mean, 17 to 19, where I was going like every single day to the YMCA to play basketball. It was just fun. It was part of the daily schedule, and there was a time though where I just stopped and I gained a lot of weight. I wasn't athletic and I was kind of lazy. But throughout the span of my lifetime, for the most part, I've been into fitness, yeah, and sports.
And do you think that that was something that was beneficial when you joined the military? Do you feel like you had kind of an upper hand on people who maybe not had that athletic background?
Yeah, for sure. Just everything, just from knowing how to stretch, knowing how to work out, knowing how to warm up. That's a steep learning curve for some people. And I already had it in the bag when I was going into the Navy. Yeah, everything but swimming. So before I went in, I learned how to teach myself everything about swimming, the strokes, the breathing, everything. That was a steep learning curve for me.
Yeah. Seems like it would be, me being somebody who has been around like the lake his whole life and just that be so natural. I can't imagine trying to pick that up and in such a short amount of time and be comfortable and almost be like a second, mode of transportation, if you will,
Yeah.
of the body. But
Mhm.
yeah, I can see where that would definitely be challenging.
It's a very steep learning curve. I joined the delayed entry program, which means you sign up and pretty much sign the papers and you're just waiting for your ship date. And I told them to push the ship date back as far as they could, and they pushed it back about 7 months. And I was swimming every single day. Every single day the YMCA was open, I was there practicing, learning, teaching myself.
So you taught yourself? You didn't have like a teacher or classes or anything?
I had no teacher. I taught myself from YouTube videos and just repetition.
That's cool. I think YouTube is one of those things now that has, you have so much possibility to what you can learn, and YouTube just make it so easy and so user
For
friendly
sure.
that most people don't want to crack a book open, but they'll go watch a YouTube video. In
Yeah.
3 minutes they can get a decent handle on a certain aspect of it.
It speeds up the learning curve for sure. You think about the time, like back in high school, you wanted to learn something and you'd have to flip 45 pages in a book and find the right chapter and everything. Now you can just type it in, and it speeds up the learning curve for sure. When I want to learn about anything, crypto, design, anything, I would just learn, take bits and pieces and aspects that I don't know, and I'll just research them and learn them.
Yeah, it's funny because like whenever I was in like middle school and before, I would have the internet there. I could Google something or do something like that. And my parents were like, back in my day, we had to go to the library and look through books. And now it's like the kids these days, it's like going even further and making it even easier with like just searching something on YouTube. It's like, oh, how do I do fractions? And 10 minutes later, they're freaking experts at it. And it's like, man,
Yeah.
even though I had it so easily with Google, YouTube really has just made learning anything so accessible.
It really has. And it's a double-edged sword because it also distracts a lot of people, and a lot of people, waste time on it. They can sit there for hours and hours.
Yeah, definitely it is. So you talked about kind of getting that pamphlet of the Navy SEALs, was it? And And you said you hadn't really heard of it or ever had like a previous interest in the military, so you definitely probably didn't know what any of that was about. Like, so when you figured that out, did it kind of scare you a little bit? Were you thinking like, oh man, is this really like something that is even for me, like the military as a whole?
You know, it didn't scare me at all. I'm the type of person that's, if I have a slight idea about something, I just run with it and I just go with it. And I'll just kind of teach myself to learn along the way. And it was a big jump going from civilian to Navy, having learned about it 2 days ago. But I make decisions quick. I've always been the type of guy to just jump and learn as I go on the way down. So by the way they made the pamphlet look, it didn't fully describe the way what Navy SEAL was and describe everything that you would go through. And I didn't properly devote the time to learn everything that I would go through. So no, it didn't scare me at all.
So what was that experience, that initial experience like? Maybe the first time you really hit something that was like, oh man, was that pretty early on, or did you kind of get a ways in? How did that kind of go down?
So the way it worked is I went to the recruiting office and I said, I want to be this, what's in this pamphlet? And he said, okay, Navy SEAL. So they took me to military entrance processing station and they checked my eyesight. They checked everything about me. And the eyesight was holding me back from qualifying to be a Navy SEAL. I'm sorry. It was holding me back from the qualifications needed in order to go ahead and test to be a Navy SEAL or to go to Navy SEAL training. So what was offered to me was explosives ordnance disposal, Navy diver, and air rescue. So I said, give me Navy diver. I said, I think the water's cool. I would like to dive. Never done it before, but I'll take that. And to jump forward to your question, as I went into pre-dive training after boot camp, that was a kick in the face because it was a different environment. Boot camp, I was already having to adjust to the military lifestyle in boot camp. And when I went into pre-dive training, it was a whole nother beast. They're putting me in an environment that I've never been in before. Even though it was in the pool, you're in the pool with weights on and straps and everything. And that's something I wasn't properly prepared for mentally.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's very interesting, is the mental side of any situation, and how from an outside perspective looking in, it seems like it could be simple. It seems like, oh, that wouldn't be that hard or challenging. But then when you're within that situation and your mind kind of takes control, it really can do something to you. And how did that feel? Like, how did that change almost like your the way you saw it through your eyes in that moment?
It was something like I've never felt before when I went in. So I did not pass pre-dive training. And the day that I didn't pass, I experienced something that I've never had before. It was a fear of the water that I've never felt before. And, they strap you up with twin 80s, 80-pound tanks and a 10-pound weight belt. And you're sitting there treading. You're having to go through partner checks in a 12-foot pool. And I just got to the point where my legs could not physically push my body above the water. And I couldn't get air. So I grabbed this out of the pool to get air. And they said it was a nonverbal DOR. So drop on request. They sent me back to pick another job. And that was it. It was like it all happened within, pretty short amount of time. Seemed like just a few minutes. But in reality, it was over the course of a few days, getting dropped, going to the reclass, picking another job. Everything that I had prepared for 7, 8, 9 months was gone. And I was getting thrown into a job that I didn't necessarily want. So, yeah, to answer your question, the part in the pool was like something that I never experienced before.
Yeah, the water really is just a whole nother beast. It seems like, we're constantly in this environment, in this world, when you can just, do something as simple as breathe. It's just, it's taken for granted, and it's so simple, but when that ability is taken away, and it's so crazy. It's just crazy to kind of even imagine how something so basic can be taken away like that.
It is.
So moving on, I guess, to kind of the next like chapter of what came after that. How did that next part kind of roll out for you?
So I picked Master at Arms because I had a very short A school, which was the job that I did for 7 years, and got to Texas and started going through training. And it was like, it was almost like I was expecting something else, like more, because the training was it was so easy. I was going through from a fast paced environment to a very relaxed, slow paced environment. And it was it was easy, you know, and you had people in there coming straight from boot camp complaining that their air conditioner didn't work or whatever. And I just felt like a different, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I felt like, you know, coming from that environment, these people had no clue what it's like in other areas, you know, in other areas of the Navy. So, yep, graduated A school as an MA and had a great time. Met some really great friends, and then I went to Bahrain for 2 years. Bahrain was a great place. Made a lot of money over there. Met a lot of people. Traveled a lot of places: Dubai, Oman, Qatar. Those were some of the funnest times of my career. And it gets hot over there. You know, 135, 140 degrees. It's crazy. So, yep, that's the next part. I became a Master at Arms and started working in the harbor patrol.
That's crazy. So what do you think the biggest change in your like mindset was between failing that first school and then graduating? Like where do you think you made the biggest leaps?
To be honest, graduating, it didn't feel like a leap. I still felt unaccomplished because my mission to become a diver was failed. You know, I didn't become a diver. So pretty much everything that I did after that, it just felt like I was just kind of going through the motion.
When did you feel like, you know, what you had accomplished was something important? Or did you get to that point where it was like, okay, well, maybe it just that wasn't for me, that wasn't the path I was supposed to go down?
To be honest, it's very rare for me to feel accomplished. It is. And I don't know if that springs from me just constantly wanting to do more and more, or I don't really know. I haven't figured it out yet. You know, graduating MAA school, it didn't feel like an accomplishment. Completing the tour in Bahrain didn't feel like an accomplishment. I know it was, you know, to some people, but to me, it was just, I guess I saw my peers and the people around me, and they were doing the same things that I was doing, like finishing A school and, you know, doing this and doing that. And since I was doing the same things, I felt like I wasn't deserving of the feeling of being accomplished. So it's funny you bring that up, because now that I think about it, I don't even remember the last time I felt accomplished.
And yeah, like you said, it could potentially spring from just wanting to do, you know, keep pushing the limits of what you can do. I think that's a place where a lot of people maybe get stuck.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think for me, it's me constantly looking for the next thing and the next thing to complete. And I always feel like, hey, if I did this, if I did that, I would feel accomplished. And it's just hard for me to feel accomplished. I tell my girlfriend all the time, you know, she tells me good job all the time, but I say, stop saying that. You know, I don't want to feel like it's a weird thing. It's hard to explain, because I feel like the people listening to this, probably anybody that listened to this, they might not understand. They might think like, why don't you feel accomplished? You know, you did 7 years in the Navy, honorably discharged. You know, completed all types of trainings and everything. But I guess I have my eyes set so high that it's hard for me to feel accomplished with basic, smaller things, if that makes sense.
And do you see yourself like, do you have this ultimate goal in your head, like right now, to where it's like, you know, if I reach this, if I can do this, it'll make up for that? Is that kind of like in your head a little bit ever?
I think so. I think, you know, there's always a checkpoint or a goal that's a big goal that's always in my head. And looking back at it now, you know, a year ago, if you told me that I was going to get out and build my own obstacle course, then I probably would have been like, no, it's not going to happen, or it won't happen, you know. But ever since, building the obstacle course, I feel like there's still work that needs to be done. So I just still don't feel accomplished. I feel like at this point, the next goal would be to have a pop-up battle bunker that people can come to and have it hold an official event. That's when I would feel some sense of accomplishment. And then probably then still, I would say, okay, now we need to do 10 pop-ups.
Yeah. So it's never ever the what's next kind of aspect is always in your head.
Yeah. And I want your audience to understand there's a difference in feeling accomplished and feeling grateful. I'm grateful every single day. I'm grateful for all the little things, this computer and this internet that I have. Grateful to live in a beautiful place. Grateful for everything. But the feeling of accomplishment is hard for me to achieve.
What kind of pushed you, or not, maybe not push is the right word, but what got you out of the military? Was it something that you did on your own? Was it something you had to do?
No, not at all. I just made the decision, and people call me an idiot all the time, and they're like, "You're stupid. Why would you even get out of the military?" But it was YouTube. When I had a previous background and interest in video, I used to make funny videos with my friends all the time. I helped produce the show in high school. It taught me editing, taught me deadlines and timelines and filming and angles. And I just consistently was teaching myself that. And when I was in Bahrain, I was in a lot of debt. I was in like 12, 13K in debt. And I remember I put a GoPro Hero 4 on my credit card as well. And I just started filming with it. And I can remember being in my apartment in Bahrain, testing out the different settings like 720p, HD, 1080, 4K, 18 frames a second, different frame rates and everything, kind of reteaching myself everything. And shortly after that, for actually about probably a year or two after that, I put my first video on my channel, and then my second and my third was a video of deployment. And that one kind of just blew up. And when I say blow up at the time, I think it was at like 70 or 80,000 views, which was huge for a guy with 0 subscribers. And I just continued to post. And August 16th, 2018, I started posting consistently and kept growing the channel and growing. And it got to where I was earning half of my military salary, and then all of my military salary, and then double my military salary, and then quadruple my military salary. And I said, at this point, it's kind of stupid for me to stay in. So I kept running with the videos. I built my own obstacle course out in Moore Park, and here we are.
And did you fear that when you got out that you were going to lose maybe some of the audience or some of the content ideas? Like, did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, I knew I was. Yeah. And there's nothing I could prevent from that, kind of like the guy that worked at Subway that made TikToks about Subway and YouTube videos about Subway. Now he's doing, $500,000 on YouTube, but still working at Subway because he don't want to lose his content, But yeah, I knew some people would be like, I just using you for your advice you gave to me before the military, and then unfollow. But no, I didn't see a significant amount of subscribers that left or followers that left. Anything really. I've always struggled with. For me, it's like I post a video and it'll get 1 million views, or I'll post a video and it'll get 30,000 views. There's like hardly any in between. So when I got out, and the second or third video that I put out when I was out of the military, it did like 1.7 million views. So there was a fear that when I got out, nobody would watch my YouTube videos, when in reality, 85% of the people that watch me, they didn't even know I was in the military. So I have 80 million combined views on my YouTube channel and 500,000 subscribers, if that tells you anything. So that's I think that's like 1.6% of people that are subscribed, or maybe like 4%. I don't really know. Then we put out another one, it hit 1 million views. And then we put out another one 2 weeks ago, it hit 1.5 million views. So now there's no fear of people not watching my content because I'm out. A good video is a good video.
When you're making a video, is that something that like would you consider yourself kind of a perfectionist with that? Do you do, a lot of different things, or is it just like, this is my idea, it's in my head, we're gonna get it out, obviously as long as it's good, but you do you worry more about like, is this perfect, or are you like, this is the idea and this is the reality of the idea?
No, I have become a perfectionist about some things. So when I, just started my channel, I could post whatever, and it could be a black screen, just to fill up the 10-minute mark for 2 minutes, and I just wouldn't care. But now, as I'm receiving feedback, this is a great video, I try to put the revenue that comes from YouTube back into it. And now I'm a little bit more of a perfectionist with certain things. I don't really care about shaky cameras and stuff like that because it's YouTube, but I do care about introducing the characters properly, having the story flow, the thumbnail if we're talking about uploading, and things like that. And I'm learning every single time. So when we arrive on the set to shoot, it's a very relaxed environment, but I know exactly what I need and exactly what I need to get. Character intros, character B-roll, drone shots, GoPro shots, stabilized action shots, competitor shots. That's pretty much it.
Gotcha. And do you find that like, or do you think that YouTube is going to be, and I think it's definitely taking its position, but do you think that's the real future of entertainment, is just, me and you out here making our own stuff and then people watching it and then making their own stuff and we watch their stuff?
I think there will always be a place for movies. Netflix is one of the biggest platforms out there, and it's all movies and professionally produced documentaries. I think there's always going to be room for professional videography and videos and productions. But I do think YouTube is making its footprint in the market share of content consumed. And, I just saw last month where the viewership of YouTube on TVs increased 70%. That's almost double, so I do think it will be on the rise as more and more creators come up. Some creators will fade away. Some of these creators will take place, and it's hard to predict where content is headed because you got the vertical stuff. Some platforms have not been successful with the vertical videos, but TikTok is. YouTube Shorts is pretty big. Reels is big right now. Snapchat Spotlight, I don't think they're doing as hot. But it's interesting as we go into this, digital age. As we keep exploring into this digital age, there's no telling what could happen. It could be VR headsets in 3 years. You never really know. It could be all 70% of the videos consumed are virtual reality. So there's no telling.
How do you figure out like what is going to be the next big thing versus maybe what's just like a little short-term trend?
The data is there. I think as far as talking about everything, the data is there, and history tends to repeat itself. I like to look at, the big thing nowadays is cryptocurrencies and different digital assets like that, like blockchain and stuff. And you remember, you don't remember, but you are aware of the gold rush in 1878, where people were just rushing to mine gold, which they did that because the perception of value was there and it was credible in the marketplace. The same thing with crypto is happening now. Everybody's flooding to mine it. We're still in the very early stages. Everybody wants to invest in it and get their hands on it. The people that mine gold, and were the first ones out there to mine that gold in 1878, I'm sure their family still has money from that. They're still rich from that. They own big houses and whatnot. So, everything is turning digital. That means an increase in viewership on the internet. I think traditional TV is going to slowly start to fade away as we realize that we pay for the subscription service like Comcast or Spectrum, and then we also see the ads. When on YouTube it's free and you only see ads. So yeah, I think I'm definitely pro digital. Anything digital, currency, blockchain technology, content. I think it's here to stay.
A lot of people are. It feels like the crypto thing, it kind of took a very big leap a few years back, and then it got
Mhm.
quiet again, and now it seems like it's taken even, you know, a bigger leap with I don't know, you're probably familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, but he's doing a lot of content on
NFTs.
it seems like, do you think it's going to go quiet again and then pop up even bigger? Or do you think this is just where we're at now?
No, I think it's gonna, if you look at it, even if you're looking at a stock chart analysis for one day, it goes up and down. It does that weekly, it does that monthly, it does that yearly, it does that through the decades. So I do think we'll see a few more quiet times, but I think that it effectively bottoms at a certain area. So, if we're talking about the price of Bitcoin, which pretty much is the hype around all the other cryptos, Bitcoin started out at like a few cents and then went up to $1. Everybody's talking, it shot up to $100. Everybody was talking about it. Well, it came down and bottomed at about 50 again. It didn't go back to $1. And then everybody started talking about it again. It shot up to 1,000. And then it bottomed at like 800 or 900. It didn't go back to 50. So I think we're on this wave for sure. And I do think it'll go quiet probably as things continue to happen in the world. Some of it takes precedence on social media and content that I think will make the crypto and digital world quiet down for a minute. But I think there's going to be another bump.
And it seems like kind of the digital, like you were talking about, the digital world in general, it seems like if you're in it, it's like it's already here and it's all around us. But then when you go and talk to older people or somebody who's just not in it yet, it's almost like they're not even aware of what's going on. So do you think that like the younger generation or the more like in touch generation with what's going on is making it bigger than it would be? Or do you just think that maybe some people just really don't know what's going on with stuff?
I think it has to do with forms of communication and correspondence. Back in the day, the gold rush, it was in newspapers and word of mouth. That's it. Nobody knew about it. So if you were out of touch and you didn't get the newspaper, you wouldn't even know that the gold rush has been happening for 2 or 3 years. I think information flows a lot easier, which definitely, spikes the price of some cryptos. But I think that it got big because it's a lot of people like the idea and they think it's the next best thing. So I definitely think that has a part to do with it for sure. And a 20-year-old's money is no different from a hedge fund's dollar. 20-year-old has $100, hedge fund has $100. If they invest in one stock and then if they invest in a crypto and they invest in a stock, that money's still money and it's still driving the price action behind that coin. So that's what a lot of people are getting behind. That's what I'm getting behind. I'm riding the hype and the wave. Going back to your question, yeah, I do think the way information travels now definitely causes some commotion and some alertness in the crypto world.
Like I was saying, back in, a few years ago, 2016, 2017, 2018, whatever. And you're just thinking like, when is this going to become the thing? And we're still like in a transitional period. So I think it's really hard to like just know when that transition's going to take place, or if it's going to be just continue to be the slow kind of thing that happens.
Yeah, it's impossible to know. When cars were invented, there were 5-6 years into that developed technology, there were 30 manufacturers of cars, but only 2 or 3 made it out. Chevy, Ford, and Toyota, and then came Chrysler and whatnot. I think the same thing is happening with crypto. With Bitcoin, it can only handle like 6 transactions per second. If people around the world are using Bitcoin, it's going to take weeks for their transactions to go through. And I think people don't understand that. But then comes Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Speed and all the other ones that are just iterations of Bitcoin, except they operate differently. They can handle more transactions. They're more secure. So I think we have 500 coins and there's no way to tell which one is going to come out on top. In 10 years, we may only have 4 or 5 coins. Most of the tokens out there, they could tank, they could crash, they could get confused on the Ethereum blockchain. Anything could happen. So I do think crypto is here to stay. but it's impossible to determine which crypto is here to stay. That would be like if I was a merchant and I could accept all 400 coins, that wouldn't make sense of me. Why would I have 400 different wallets? I think in the future, for sure, there's only going to be a couple, maybe a few cryptocurrencies, and there's no determining which one it is going to be. And like we're speeding up the timeline. If you look at, starting from the gold rush, and then you had prohibition, and then it took hundreds of years for us to develop certain technologies and to legalize alcohol, things like that. It's happening in a triangle. Weed is being legalized in a new state every month. Actually, I think it was decriminalized federally, and it's just all this stuff is happening at an exponential rate. Next comes psilocybin. We just live in an interesting time. Money is changing. It's crazy. Everything is happening so fast.
Yeah. Do you think there's any changes that are happening alongside that we're not seeing right now that are kind of happening in the background because of those more obvious changes that are maybe not for the better?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Yeah, I mean, I know people have been using Bitcoin to encrypt or just kind of block out the transaction names. People have been doing it on the black market for years, buying and selling stuff using Bitcoin. And I think that's one bad thing that's not really in the light that people are using cryptos for. But as far as anything else, I know there's, every time something happens, there's always something else that's happening. So I'm sure there's some bad stuff going on that we don't know about.
Yeah. Everything has these effects that you just don't know until, years down the road usually. But kind of getting back to your own personal journey, your life, or when you got out of the military, was there anything that was just tough for you that you just were like, man, I didn't see this coming? Was there any adjustments that you didn't really adjust to well very quickly?
Yeah, I still go through it every single day. I struggle with socializing with people, speaking to people, expecting certain expectations of people. Everything really, it's like I'm having to start all over again. If you tell somebody something in the military, you don't care if you come off rude or whatever, you just want the job done. Here you have to develop very good social skills, leadership skills, and skills that are going to make people want to work with you, because they could literally just say, okay, I'm out, and they could leave, and that's going to screw you. As a business owner, I work with a team of videographers, photographer, editors, and if they stop or quit, or if I need to quit working with them, it's going to put me in a bond for a few days. And with this timeline and the content rollout, that can barely be afforded. So yeah, for sure, I'm having to readjust and learn different management and different leadership skills.
So when it comes to that, like the different mindsets of people, do you think that that we're in a better position now with how, and you don't want to necessarily say soft, but how more worried people are about how things are being said than what is actually being said? Do you think that there's a bigger issue with that?
Yeah, for sure. I do think society is getting very soft. I think we idolize things and people that shouldn't be idolized. I think we reward things that shouldn't be rewarded. And I think, as these algorithms and platforms arise, I think it can put some people out there more than they should be, whether they're promoting drugs, alcohol, self-harm, whatever, abusive animals, abusive people, whatever. I do think that there's a good chance, if I was a drug dealer, I could start a TikTok, talk about smoking a bunch of meth, and probably not even get demonetized or thrown off the platform for it. But at the same time, you could have somebody talking about their political views on there and could get kicked off the platform.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are concerned about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a thing. Yeah.
Do you feel like your own content has to be maybe different even now versus just a year ago or whatever? Do you think that is accelerating that kind of censorship, if you want to call it that, or deplatforming?
No, not. I mean, not for me. I've never been, kicked off a platform or demonetized, anything like that, because I don't talk about politics, religion. I'm just there to have a good time, entertain some people, and maybe inspire some more people. So my content has not changed. I still pretty much do the same format videos that I did a year ago.
When it comes to your videos, like I'm sure with the views you're getting, do you look through comments and stuff, and do you take a lot of those to heart? Do you laugh at a lot of them? Like, how do you handle certain things that people say?
One of the best pieces of advice I have ever heard is don't take things to heart, whether it's something that somebody does, whether it's if somebody forgets your birthday, a hurtful comment on YouTube, because it can just destroy your day and destroy your self-confidence, your motivation, and everything. So when I first started YouTube, yeah, I specifically remember this comment this guy left, and that was when I was really trying to make it in YouTube, and he said, "You're living this hopeless YouTube dream. You should just give it up. Your videos suck," or something like that. And it just got me down. That one comment, granted, I have 130,000 comments on my channel, but that one comment that I read, it just messed me up. And after, reading a few more, the good, the bad, whatever, it's hardened me up. And now I don't take things to heart. Nothing. It's kind of made me, people think it's, I think people think I'm kind of weird because I'm so easygoing. I don't get offended. I don't, like I said, take things to heart. And I think a lot of it comes from those YouTube comments. I was never exposed to anything like that before YouTube. People are picking out everything about me. I have these scars on my head from breaking out when I was a teenager that I was super self-conscious about. But after reading a few comments, I was just like, fuck it. And I just didn't, I don't care about it. So people make comments about everything, and I just kind of laugh at them and do whatever. If I post a video and it doesn't do well and only my audience is seeing it, I will be in those comments a lot more. But if I post a video and it does 1 million plus, I do not step foot in those comments because I know it's people that don't know me and stuff like that commenting.
Does it seem like kind of like the comments are a lot of like negativity, or is it just those ones that stand out?
You know what? Negative comments definitely stand out more, and that's just the way the human brain works. So I do my best to show gratitude to the ones that do comment and just stop by and say, "Hey, I love the video." I'm all up on them. I'm like, "Thank you very much, Aaron. I love you. Looking forward to seeing your next video," or stuff like that. So the negative comments, they don't really get as much love from me. I usually say something back sarcastic, or if they're saying, "Hey, you might want to change this. This is stupid." I understand, I understand where they're coming from. Everybody has a different opinion about my videos. I'm like, okay, I'll take that into consideration. Thanks.
I think one of the funniest things people do now is when they read their like mean comments and stuff like that and make a video on it. I think that's like one of the most like revealing things about somebody is when they can take that as like a joke or, something like that.
I've got a video on my channel like that. Yeah, for sure.
So when you got out of the Navy, did you find yourself going through like a period of just going from like a system of so much structure? Did you find yourself at all like maybe even going through a day or a week of just like not wanting to do anything for a minute?
Yeah, it was, it ended about mid-March, actually. From about December, January, February, mid-March, I went through that period. And I was just kind of taking a breather. I think I posted like 3 YouTube videos in 3 months. And it was a rough time. I was still adapting and adjusting and things like that. And every day or week, I try to add in a new variable, whether it's waking up at a certain time, whether it's scheduling more stuff in my Google Calendar, business and personal life. I schedule everything from time with Sarah to gym time. But, for the most part, I still struggle with getting to the gym on time. And sometimes I'm a little late to go see, spend time with Sarah, because I feel so attached to my work. It's hard for me to release that. I feel like I have such a good opportunity now and I'm blessed so much that if I take a day off, I will lose it.
Do you find that people that aren't, you know, working with you directly, like your girlfriend or friends or family, do you think that they kind of sometimes find it weird that you do schedule your life like that, you know, so down to the hour, to the minute? Because like something that I kind of experienced was, you know, back in college, just to be more, you know, aware of the time and be more productive, I would kind of do the same thing, but with alarms, and I would have like 30 alarms in a day, and they were just constantly going off.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I can't relate to most of my friends anymore. I try to, but they always invited me to go here and saying, "Oh, why can't you come home?" And I just feel like it's not worth the time explaining to them. But yeah, people think I'm weird. They think I'm a shut in, you know. But in reality, I'm just doing my best to make this work and to keep growing it. Sarah, on the other hand, she is the most to the T person that I know, even in the military. She does everything with intention, and she is on point. It's hard for me to catch her slipping. She's so organized. She's like, okay, laundry on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, I'm working out Wednesday at 5:15. I'm doing this. I'm going here. And I woke up this morning with her at 5. And yeah, she's a very organized person, which helps me out a lot. It helps me stay on a schedule. Like when she goes to work, I'll wake up with her and I'll greet her at the door when she comes home.
And it seems like that would definitely be a good match. But do you ever find any challenges since you're both kind of like that?
The only challenges Sarah and I deal with are very, very small things. Very small things. You know, we both trust each other a lot. We have a great relationship. Sometimes I don't spend as much time with her as I need to, and that's on me. But no, there's never a time where she's like, "Wake up, Austen," and I'm like, "No." I don't ever get mad at her. It's a great relationship. Probably the biggest thing is we're so independent. We sometimes forget about our relationship. We don't prioritize us time. She told me yesterday, she said, "We need to go on more dates and we need to schedule more dates." I said, "All right."
That's funny. Even in that realm, she still, you know, you mentioned schedule a date, just like it's your time together, but you're still like keeping what you know, and it's kind of funny
Yeah.
and cool at the same time.
She's like, "I need it scheduled. I need it scheduled." I'm like, "All right." I send her Google invites on the calendar all the time, even if it's just for taking the dog to the, appointment or whatever.
That's funny. That's cool. So going into what you're kind of working on now and everything, the battle bunker, like where did that idea come from?
I told you earlier in this conversation that I'm just kind of like a very spontaneous person. If I have an idea, I'm like, all right, let's run with it full force. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And that was just one of those things. I looked at my content. I said, how can I grow this into something that's bigger than myself, bigger than just a 12-minute experience on YouTube? I looked at my content. I said, the best performing content is obstacle course and fitness challenges. So I had this crazy idea last summer. Told Sarah, I said, I'm going to build my own obstacle course. I said it very sarcastically. And she's like, "Oh, okay, go ahead, do it." And I guess to me, part of me was like, all right, I'm going to prove it to Sarah that I'm going to really build my obstacle course. And then 2 weeks later, I'd purchased land in Lancaster, and that fell through. That was a rough time because I had all my sights and vision set on Lancaster, but when they told me that I was going to need 3 more inspections to get the land approved to build on it, a desert fox, a desert tortoise, and a significant ecological area survey, which are all 30 grand a piece, then I was a little standoffish. I was like, okay, back to square one. So I was searching for land again. And I found this 1.5 acre plot in the middle of a place called Combat Paintball Park, which is up in Santa Clarita, I think. And the owner wanted $4,500 a month, which was a little steep for an acre and a half. And I was like, I'm never going to find a place. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was prepared to take out like a huge loan to just buy land because I just wanted to have this obstacle course. And I called this other place. It was I won't say the name of the business because I don't really want people knowing exact location where it's at. But I called this other man. I said, hey, do you have some land? Here's my situation. I make videos. I need a place to build an obstacle course. And I rode up there with him. We went over this hill, and it just revealed this beautiful 80-acre plot of land that kind of sits down in a valley. Perfect breeze. You can see Malibu right over the hills. And I said, sign me up. So we made a deal. And 2 days later, after I signed the paperwork, I was out there having electrical poles installed on it. And 2 weeks later, I had half of the obstacle course built, and 25 days later, I had the full course built. I was out there from sunup to sundown, driving 2 hours there in the morning and 2 hours back in the afternoon, and built the battle bunker.
That's crazy for sure to have it like right there, like at the big, have the land, and then it just falls through, and then it, getting it right back pretty quick is pretty cool to have that opportunity.
It's a very kind of a shitty feeling, when you have something and it's right there, and you know that you're going to keep pressing on, but you just have to get over this hurdle first, and that was the feeling that I had. I remember sitting there after work, still in uniform, sweating in the car. And when I got off the phone with the bank, they're like, the land, you need all these surveys. And I was just so devastated. But yeah, what were you saying?
Well, just going off that, it is crazy, because I think a lot of people feel like when they hit a hurdle like that, they don't know how to get over it. They don't know what the next step is. They just kind of get stuck in that phase of the plan, and they almost regress a little bit, and they give up on it.
Yeah. And starting off, I didn't know whether it was better for me to buy or to lease or to rent or to just hit up a homeboy and say, hey, can I borrow some of your land? But the thing that helped me there was moving in different directions, testing out things, trying to purchase, didn't fall through. Okay, now we'll go with a different deal. And so I think people can compare that to anything in their life. If they're going over a hurdle and something stops them, you have to wiggle a little bit. You have to still keep your feet moving and looking for the next opportunity and what's going to provide you the means to just keep going.
Yeah. So what is the overall goal of the battle bunker?
The best outcome would be within the next year, keep growing the series, have special guests, have fitness challenges of all kinds out there, not just the obstacle course. Just go out there where we can film, have a great time, and be with some cool people. Build the name of the battle bunker until we can effectively market a pop-up, whether in probably Texas or Florida, maybe even California. Have people attend, have them run the course. It won't be exactly like it is on the YouTube channel, but just have them run the course, make a huge event, have some sponsors behind it, and have our first successful event sealed in within, I forecast that being longer than a year, the pop-up, but within 2 years, hopefully, I would like to keep expanding, maybe build a permanent location or keep running these pop-ups and hopefully sign with some sponsors, just like CrossFit Games signed with Noble this year, and provide the way to keep hosting these obstacle courses, connect people, inspire people to get more fit, and just keep running with it.
A lot of people out there would find that it's really enjoyable to do, but I think that'd be
cool. I think so too. I think connecting some sort of fitness tracker with the GPS, that says, hey, the Battle Bunker Challenge is complete Hummingbird Trail, 6.9 miles in 45 minutes, stuff like that. And if you complete it, you get the Battle Bunker star for like the Hummingbird Trail. It's so much potential here and so many different avenues. I see the Battle Bunker as like a circle, and then we have multiple stems from that circle. We have the digital side, we have merchandising, we have challenging fitness challenges, we have the pop-ups, we have the Battle Bunker, mega or ultra or whatever, that's a few, maybe even 100 miles, big challenges. I want to do all of it.
That's a really cool thing you got going on, and I'm excited to see where it goes with you in the future. But man, I really do. It was cool to have you on here.
I appreciate that. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.